In this video, you will learn a process freelancers can use to get clients finding them via SEO and how to find keywords to create content for as a freelancer or agency owner. So let's jump in. Hey, this is Zach from W Freelancing. Today's video is a snippet from a recent podcast episode that I did with Tim Davidson, who's a member of the DYF Accelerator community. So if you enjoyed this video, I would recommend you check out that full podcast, which you can find both on YouTube and on our actual separate podcast. But given that you're watching this on YouTube, I would recommend checking out that full podcast on YouTube because he does a lot of screen sharing and it's ultimately like a masterclass in AI content creation and SEO for freelancers. So in today's clip, Tim is going to walk us through his process for finding keywords to create content around and how he basically has grown his agency's SEO traffic to the point that he usually gets, I mean, it's been a little bit weird with Google's updates recently, but he typically gets at least a couple leads a month from SEO, historically anyway. And he's going to walk us through how he approaches finding keywords, creating content, that sort of thing. So let's jump into the clip. And when you're looking for your keywords, like obviously this is a bigger conversation, but obviously the difficulty is you want to find the questions, like the valuable questions that clients would be asking.
Yeah.
So not writing things like how to connect Shopify to Zapier, although that actually might be a good one. But like how to write this JavaScript snippet in Spotify wouldn't be useful. So like, do you have any tips or things that have worked for you to find good client representative high intent keywords? Like how do you ideate these things?
Yeah, I do actually. So one technique that I've used quite a bit of is using Google's People Also Ask widget. So when you search for a question, or if you just put a prompt into Google, so say for me, because we do a lot of work with Shopify, if I write into Google Shopify, then after the initial search results, it'll come back with like 4 or 5 questions that people have asked about Shopify. There is a plugin, I think it's also called People Also Ask. And what it does is it just goes and clicks on the next, like the last entry of the People Also Ask widget on Google, which loads the next 6. So it does that and you can let it run. So I let it run for like an hour and then it spits all of the results into a spreadsheet. I grabbed those results and I chucked those into the Keywords Everywhere extension, and it tells me if any of them have search volume and if they're difficult to rank for. But it's like the results have been a bit hit and miss. What I find now is it's better just to jump into Surfer, and Surfer has a section called Topic Explorer. So you just chuck your keyword in there and it'll go and do essentially the same thing. I think it does a bit of that research. And it spits out a ton of keywords and they have like volume and difficulty attached to them. The thing is that you need to go through them. So I'll export that list and then go through all of them and just check if they're relevant to my, like the intent of the searcher, that's kind of the bit that takes a bit of practice because you really need to go through and put your mindset, like align your mindset to someone who might be wanting to work with you and try and find the gems in the rough. And it's just, they call it keyword research because it really is. It just takes time reading through the listings and kind of trying to figure out which one's the gold.
Do you think that so if you're going for these 10 to 50 searches, again, I don't know really anything about SEO. Want to learn because DYF used to get a bunch of SEO traffic. Do you think that so like, let's say somebody has well, I'll just throw it out. So suppose you had this list and you were like, I don't want to review it. I just want ChatGPT to write all these articles. So I'm just going to do all of them. I'm going to think about it. Maybe some of them suck. Is it actually bad to create blog posts around things that are going to kind of like almost diversify what your site helps with? Like, is your site supposed to do one kind of thing generally? Like if you wrote one blog post about how to paste this JavaScript snippet and another one about should you use Shopify and another one about here's my best tips for grilling on 4th of July. Like, does that actively damage you in Google's eyes in your experience?
It's hard to say yes or no, but yes.
Okay. So that's why you filter.
Yeah, that's why you filter. But Surfer also, like, I'm not an affiliate of Surfer. I don't want to spruik it too much, but it does produce like buckets So when it returns the keyword. So typically what you want to do when you're writing content, and this is kind of how people search and how Wikipedia is structured, is you want to make it as structured for someone who's reading your blog as possible. So if they use their breadcrumbs to get back into your like archive of articles, they don't want to just see like grilling in one section and like dolphin riding in another section and stuff about Shopify. They want to see like Shopify plugins and then a list of all of the plugins you've reviewed, and that's like one bucket, and another bucket is like conversion rate optimization. So the more organized you can keep your keyword mappings, the better you rank for those topics. And there is some kind of crossover. As long as you don't cannibalize on other articles you've written, then Google starts to realize that you're trying to write on one topic, and it gives you a bit more content authority, topical authority, which is one of the things that Google has publicly come out and said, like, this is one of the things, if you do it right, will rank your content.
That makes sense. It gives them more data points to believe that your site is about a type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So as a thought experiment, suppose you had two routes. So I think you said each article takes you about a half hour, which I know it varies, but let's just pretend for the sake of this experiment, it is exactly 30 minutes. And you have two options. You can either spend 30 minutes on keyword research this week. Well, you can either spend 35 minutes on keyword research and write one article for 30 minutes. Thereby you spent 1 hour to get 1 hour and 5 minutes to get one article. And you like picked a really good keyword for it. Or you could spend 5 minutes on keyword research and create 2 articles this week in that same hour. Which would you pick and why?
If I was starting from scratch, I'd probably spend more time on keyword research and just write one article, because it is a marathon, not a sprint. If I'd already done some keyword research in the past, I'd probably just pick some articles, pick some keywords and go and write it, because you really need to, like, for my blog, I didn't really see much traction until I got 100 articles up, and then we started to skyrocket. So you need to have lots of content. You need to write it consistently. So volume and consistency are king.
What kind of cadence would you recommend for somebody / what? Yeah, I guess if someone's starting, how many posts a week do you think they should aim for if they're targeting actual SEO eventually? And then what cadence are you currently aiming for?
As many as humanly possible, depending on how seriously you want to take it. Like, if you can write 2 a day, then do 2 a day. If somehow you have time in your hand to do more than 2 a day, then congratulations, you have way more time than I do. My cadence at the moment has been very mediocre for the last little while because we've been changing tack. But when I was in the depths of it, like a good week was 5 posts. If I could get one blog post out a week, then I would like definitely see a tangible difference in how much traffic was arriving on our site.
It strikes me that if I were to try to do this with DYF, like, I feel like if you're doing 2 a day, it seems to me like you would hit that point of cannibalization somewhat quick, unless the articles are about like really, really zoomed in, like micro topics, versus I had thought Google, at least at one point, was preferring mega posts, like the freelancer's guide to marketing, you know, versus like, here's how to do this one specific thing within cold outreach. If I was doing posts about one specific thing within cold outreach, I could write 100 articles. But if it was like, here is an article that says everything you could ever need to know about marketing, like, I really couldn't write too many of those. So what's your approach there to not hit that point of cannibalization if you're targeting such a high volume?
Yeah, I think you do hit that. If you're not doing broad keyword research, you do hit that really quickly. And I came across that early on, but depending on what you do, you can kind of branch out the kinds of content you write. So for us at the moment, I haven't posted any of them, but I've been working on reviews of plugins. So it's like, I'm never going to hit cannibalization because every review is on a different keyword. It's a different plugin. If you're writing guides and articles like that, it can be a bit tricky. But when you spend a bit of time, I should preface this by saying you should really never write an article unless you've found a keyword that has like data to support the fact that someone will come and check it out. And this is probably the most common mistake I've seen people make when they write content. They're like, hey, I have this article, it's awesome, like people love it. Chances are it's not going to get seen by anyone because it doesn't correlate with the search term. Like unless you have a direct correlation, you use the exact words that people are searching for, it's never going to get seen. So you start with keyword research, then you write the awesome content, which is a bit of a skill because sometimes you're like, this keyword seems like it might connect with my idea a little bit, but I'm going to have to change my content a bit to kind of fit the keyword.
Yeah, this is the push-pull as we've kind of started exploring keyword-driven content at DYF. It's like, oh, I don't want to fucking write about that, though, is the thing. I don't want to give the thing this thing is asking for. So, yeah, I guess merging the two. Cool. So we have a little bit of context from the SEO side. Make sure I understand the steps. So 1, keyword research. 2, you get the keywords into Surfer SEO, and then it does some like crunching of things and then like gives you an output of some data about it, which you then paste into your ChatGPT model that you have fine-tuning for. And then I know you have your API thing happening on the back of that, but the ChatGPT magic happens then, and then you curate it and like spend about 15 minutes, it sounds like, polishing it. Then you add images and stuff, post on your site. Is that indeed the 5 steps?
Yeah.
Cool. So hopefully you found this helpful. If you want to check out the full episode, I would highly recommend it. You should be able to find it on our channel, or maybe we will remember to put a link to it in the YouTube description, or maybe one of those ones at the top. I don't know how to do that. Maybe we can do that. And if we didn't remember to do any of those things, you can just go to our channel and search Tim Davidson, and you should be able to find the whole episode. And if you want to join the DYF community, where I know Tim from, where we do weekly coaching, weekly like kind of check-in accountability calls and one-on-ones with me, you can check that out at dyf.link/community. Thanks for being here, and see you in the next video.